Hello and welcome to the Intentional Brief, your weekly video update on the one big thing in cybersecurity news for middle market companies, their investors, and management teams. I'm your host, Shay Colson, managing partner at Intentional Cybersecurity, and you can find us online at intentionalcyber.com. Today is Monday, July 13th, 2026, and the theme for this week is apparently that everything old is new again. The US and Iran have given up on their ceasefire. The Strait of Hormuz is closed, I think, and it's unclear who's going to start collecting tolls, but pretty clear that they'll be collected. And on the cyber front, attackers are taking all sorts of new angles on old schemes to compromise their victims. So let's dig in. Lots of little news items last week that I think, taken as a whole, serve to give us a reminder that we need to stay brilliant at the basics. First thing I noticed last week was a piece from Bill Toulis at Bleeping Computer about a new twist on Microsoft 365 phishing that is targeting passkeys. And if you haven't been deploying them, passkeys are a newer, more robust authentication method that you're probably familiar with under the guise of Windows Hello for Business, Face ID, Touch ID on your Apple devices, or other linked local biometric authenticators. The article from Bleeping Computer details how how attackers are taking advantage of a new capability that Microsoft opened to administrators in May, allowing them to run what they call passkey registration campaigns to entice users to enroll in passkey usage for more secure authentication. The campaign that the attackers are running is targeting users on the phone and trying to convince them to register a new passkey only under the attacker's control. The process that they go through looks like a legitimate enrollment process. And what's worse, I think, in terms of detecting this is once compromised, users are likely unaware that they're giving up this level of access, since the attacker can then simply use the passkey to log in without prompting the user for that second factor. That sometimes is a giveaway to an end user that something's not quite right. You're getting push notifications that you didn't request or SMSs that you didn't request. But that doesn't happen with passkeys. They authenticate and go right through. In other kind of close copy news, The Guardian had a piece out last week about how attackers are using legitimate looking copies of news sites, including their own and the BBC, to manipulate users into making fraudulent trades on fraudulent websites that, look like a trading website but aren't. These articles are really kind of a double look-alike, where they get an article from BBC or The Guardian, make it look like an irresistible investment, link through to the page, and then again capture those real dollars on a fake site. Speaking of faking it, in a similar vein, the Wall Street Journal ran a piece that hacking groups are looking at rebranding themselves in what they call, quote, a bid to throw off cybersecurity and law enforcement efforts by re-emerging with new identities and often more sinister or menacing names. This is interesting because the number of ransomware and data extortion attacks have jumped from 1363 in the first 3 months of the year to 1885 in the first quarter of 2026. In the second quarter of 2026, which the Wall Street Journal cites a note from ZeroFox about. So again, 500 more attacks one quarter to the next, plus rebranding, making tracking a little bit harder. Again, understanding your adversary is fine, but it doesn't really change how you defend. Those are really hinged on what you've built and what you're protecting. Our friends at CISA published a good post-mortem on their own recent credential leak, again talking about defending what you're building, defending what you're protecting. They had credentials exposed to their AWS instance and their GitHub consoles, and they captured in this post-mortem both some good ways to identify and prevent these issues in your own deployments, but all of them basically come down to hygiene issues and then operational concerns that you should be able to implement consistently to protect both your users and your resources. Finally, in terms of kind of stringing these together, Microsoft put out a blog post last week outlining how they're planning to adapt Windows vulnerability management to, quote, meet the speed of AI-powered discovery, unquote. While there are some kind of technical details and a bit of marketing shine in the article, the post itself specifically said that the, quote, increased use of AI for vulnerability discovery means customers are likely to see more security updates to address newly discovered vulnerabilities in each monthly Patch Tuesday release. So we're going to see more in each one. It's also going to be more important for you to push that to the machines on your network, and find a way to do that at scale and in an automated way. It sounds like Microsoft and the Windows team is essentially preparing for never-ending patching, which is something, frankly, you should be preparing for as well. So as we bookend these two Microsoft items on the phishing for the passkeys and then the Windows updates, it is like all of these things we've covered today. Everything old is new again, and we've still got to defend. From a fundraising perspective, a very strong week last week with $21.7 billion in newly committed capital, led by Arctos, a unit of KKR, who raised $6.2 billion for their new GP Solutions fund. A reminder that you can find links to all the articles we covered in the comments section down below, back issues and written transcripts of these videos at intentionalcyber.com, and we will see you next week for another edition of the Intentional Brief.